Dude, I'm voting fentanyl to win in 2026. I'm telling you, man, that's the only way forward out of this, you know? We need to pursue like an agenda of maximum suffering. It's our patriotic responsibility as Americans and our civic responsibility as non-Americans, for those of you with the misfortune of being born outside the greatest country in the world, to weather this storm. You've got to be a pretty powerful country for your crash out to threaten the entire world. People will say it's accelerationism, and the reason they're mischaracterizing it that way is because they're correct. It's not mischaracterizing. It's a selective tool, you know? It's like I said the other stream, how much economic hardship would have been justified, would have been morally good in 1933 if it would have hampered the German war machine and prevented them from ever even invading Poland. Over the course of this stream, we have collectively supported the downfall of other nations, haven't we? Have we not said this about Russia? Right? We need the Russian economy to collapse so they can no longer fund the war effort in Ukraine. How many times have we said that? Obviously, this logic applies here if the circumstances warrant it, you know? If I've said it there, you know, like, wouldn't it be a little bit chauvinist of me to be like, okay, other countries, they should collapse because the utilitarian calculus, it's better in the long run if they collapse. But then I'm like, oh no, not us? I feel like that would be a little bit hypocritical. I've got Russian chatters. They've emailed me. They seem to be pretty understanding when I say, yeah, Russia's got to collapse because that seems like the only way to really like stemmy the, you know, expansionist intentions towards the West, the war in Ukraine, that kind of stuff. And people email me and they don't disagree. They're like, yeah, you know, it would suck. It does suck. It currently sucks. But it would be better than the alternative. And, you know, it would have been like that if Germany had just never gotten up on its feet in the 1930s. After the Great Depression, and maybe that's what we're looking at right now. A little bit. We're using the same excuses Russia used to invade Ukraine on Panama right now. I mean, this administration needs to not do what it's trying to do. Like, whatever that takes. The goal, I mean, the ideal is that their incompetence kind of like hampers them, you know, to begin with. I think that Americans are spoiled, and the more they suffer economically, the more likely it is that they're gonna break on this. You know, if you think about it, after 9/11, America still didn't commit to a total war effort, you know? Like, America spent a lot of money on invading Iraq, but we never engaged in total war. We always tried to keep it separate from the civilians, you know? Culturally, we bullied people into support the troops. If you don't support the troops, you're a traitor, you're anti-American, you know, a lot of Islamophobia, so on and so forth. In spite of how much money we were giving to the MIC, we put an effort in to try to make sure the American economy kept afloat, which was a very impressive. I mean, it's remarkable we managed to do that considering how much we spent in the Iraq war, you know? It kind of indicates, and I think a lot of people understand this, or at least understood this in the Pentagon, which is that America would not tolerate a draft. It does not matter how many young people voted for Trump. The moment their asses are on the line, they are not going out there. 0% chance. Americans don't believe in society. We're hyper-individualistic. Even our conservatism, even our fascism is libertarian coded. Nobody in America wants to give their life to the state. They don't even think about it that way, you know? The state suppression is always this abstract, out there thing, you know? Liberal fascism. I just don't think, God, man, can you imagine? There are so many people that signed up after 9/11. Yeah, nuts, I know that. But they didn't implement a draft and they didn't implement total war. If they had implemented a draft after 9/11, whew, look, it didn't even work in Vietnam. And that was back during the Cold War. I mean, that was back when there actually was a foreign enemy that posed an existential threat to the United States. It wasn't Vietnam, of course, it was the Soviet Union, but at least there were stakes on the board. But today, if there was a draft, every single Zoomer who voted for Donald Trump, every single like Kai Cenat, you know, Aiden Ross watching, you know, finally now we can say the F slur, N-word, whatever, Zoomer, red cap wearing dipshit, if they got drafted, no shot. No shot, man. They would be freaking the out. They would be freaking the out. Americans don't believe in society. There's no sense of civic obligation here. And that's a despicable thing when it comes to the running of this country normally. But when it comes to kowtowing to fascism, I don't know. You know, I think this is actually one of the reasons why Italian fascism never got as bad as German fascism. Germans, they had all these conditions, all of these like neuroses built up in a social sense, people in Germany were willing to give their lives to the state. You have the Great Depression, you have like the Second Reich, you know, you're in the legacy, you're in the shadow of Bismarck. You have like this like rise to industrialism. Italians just want coffee and wine. That sounds like a joke. It's not. Mussolini had a lot of power, but he never overcame the cultural predisposition towards taking a nap in the middle of the day. I'm not kidding. He didn't. There were other powers at play in Italy, but the Germans gave up everything. The Germans embraced fascism, true subservience to the state, because the material conditions in that country were totally different. You understand what I'm talking about, right? This is important shit. The lazy Mediterranean air saved Italy from what might have been a worse iteration of its own collapse into fascism and everything that took place afterwards. And over here in America, I don't think we have that lazy Mediterranean air, but I do think we have an extremely individualistic, anti-civic duty responsibility. You know, I think the average American would rather kill themselves than do anything to benefit their community. I think the average American despises their community. I think the average American, especially the average Republican, thinks of their house as a walled fortress that keeps out blacks and browns and scary people and homeless people and young people on their lawn. And the moment they step out into the great dark beyond, everything is scary. It doesn't matter if the city's ugly. It doesn't matter if the downtown is ugly. It doesn't matter if it's covered in trash and bullshit. Don't know your neighbor. Don't know anything. Don't go to church. Don't do anything. Don't make friends with your coworkers. Don't talk to anyone. Don't do anything. Have no spot to hang out. In a way, the hyper alienation of American society and our violent opposition to any kind of community like mindset might actually act against the fascist takeover a little bit. You're describing paranoid schizophrenia. I'm describing the average WASP who lives in the suburbs. There's no sense of society in this country. And for that reason, I just think that culturally, I think that the WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, I don't think Americans would be willing to make the sacrifices that would be necessary to turn this country into Nazi Germany. I think there are lots of people in America who want to turn this into Nazi Germany, and I think that would require enormous sacrifices in an economic sense, tariffs and unavailability of goods, things skyrocketing, mass unemployment, drafts, you know, mass conscription, warfare, war in Panama, war in Canada, war everywhere, war Greenland, whatever else. And I think that the Americans, even the fascist Americans, just wouldn't want to put up with it because they're lazy and fat and stupid and entitled, and they don't want to sacrifice anything for anything. Americans hate sacrificing things for things. You know that? They hate that shit. They want everything. They want their tasty little treats from Temu and Shein, but they want to bitch that China's taken over the world. They want cheap commercial goods. They want to virtue signal that everything made in America. You know? Americans are pathetic and weak, and their blood runs thin, okay? There's no civic nationalism in America. The civic nationalism in America is fake. It's riding a Ford F-150 that was made in Mexico and going to a grocery store and buying produce that was picked in the Philippines or whatever, and then going home and sitting down and watching black people play football and cheering, but then like crying when at the end of it, like one of the athletes you support gives a press conference where they indicate support for immigrants being deported. Like, this is American yeah, on your Chinese or Japanese TV, on furniture from IKEA. Like, there is no American civic nationalism. American civic nationalism is nothing compared to civic nationalism from, and I mean this, basically any other country on earth. If you go to Spain, France, Italy, Norway, the UK, Ireland, Germany, any of those Western European countries, you will find more sincere civic nationalism. You will find more people who really care about their country in an abstract, like, I want to be a part of the good society kind of way. Japan, China, Singapore, Vietnam, even Russia. America is uniquely weak and our blood runs thin. Even Canada mogs America in this, and it's not even close. And God bless them. I'm pro-nationalism as long as it's aligned against this terrible culture to have become a global hegemon. Well, yeah, but all of the culture that we export, Republicans hate. What culture does America export? Well, art, for the most part. That's most of what culture is, right? It's not just political talking points. The only culture that America exports that is right-wing is right-wing politics itself. Le wokism. But if you want to talk about like the kinds of culture people like they care about it because it's art, Republicans hate that. Our music, our games, Hollywood, they hate that shit. They hate American culture. No, yeah, the right wing exports its talking points globally because right wing politics right now are funneled exclusively through capital, and capital is global. The reason why American right wing talking points circulate everywhere immediately is because America is the center of global capital, enormously so. And all the wealthy assholes over here, they have their meetings with wealthy assholes over there. They're all having the same conversations. That's why that spreads. Maybe it's the end of the American century. Maybe the American century was last one. I don't know. This isn't about vindictiveness. But if the thing that stops this from getting as bad as it could be, Americans suffering at the gas pump at the grocery station, gas pump, hell, grocery store, gas station, I guess also at the gas pump, whatever. If American suffering is what it takes, it's worth it. It's worth it. Because they're suffering now or then, and they're going to suffer either way. At the egg store, it's their patriotic responsibility as citizens of the world to be the wall. Aren't eggs a little bad for you anyway? We could do to consume a little bit less high cholesterol animal agricultural product, a little bit. Anyway, I guess I don't really have a lesson from all of this. It's just about what helps the most people in the long run. And America's best chance to rebound from this is the rest of the world roundly rejecting what's happening right here, right now. So I support them in that endeavor. If you're a non-American, you need to be real patriotic with what you're buying out there. It's not just a boycott thing. It's a broader cultural thing. Being anti-American is in. And not just in like a lefty way. Not just in a, oh, I oppose global capital kind of way. I mean like in a, America, you're tariffing us after everything we've done for you? That rhetoric's pretty good from Canada. I respect it. I understand. You know? It's insane. Eggs are fine. Basically, none of your blood cholesterol comes from your diet. Okay, fine. We should cut out the animal agriculture for climate reasons. Also, it's immoral. And also, I don't like eggs in general. Fine. You got the real position out of me. I was trying to softball it a little bit by bringing up the cholesterol. But now you have my real position. You. Also, like and subscribe. I see the likes. I see that they could be higher. I see that the number of likes is not the same as the number of concurrent viewers. This is a problem for me. For a guy such as myself, okay? Now, you eggless dipshits, all right? Hit that button so that I could continue to buy eggs if I wanted to, which I don't. Canada should cut power during the Super Bowl? Yes. I agree. Sorry, I'm tariffing my likes to you, US pleb. I will invade your country. There's no like button on VGG. Yeah, YouTube doesn't accept likes that are done via like API transfer, I think, from other sites. Like you can watch a YouTube video from a different site, but you can't like the YouTube video through a different site because I think that makes it really vulnerable to certain types of botting. You know, you have to go to the YouTube itself to like it, which, you know, I understand that I've constructed kind of a negative incentive here, but, you know, it's your civic responsibility as citizens of VGG to do your work, okay? And forgive me for being a bit self-centered for a moment. I'm sorry. I apologize. I know. They say privileged streamer. My job could go out like that. You know how crazy things are getting over here? Literally, like, at any moment. You know that? They could just say, hey, YouTube, it's un-American of you to allow left-leaning people to post videos. These communist videos are pro-China. Kablamo, I'm out. And that's a little scary. It's literally like there's no, like it's a day-by-day thing. I wake up every morning and I check. So I'm just saying, in the meantime, maybe I'm a little bit more like and subscribe-y than usual. You have a backup platform you're planning to go to if shit hits the fan? Yeah, there's a corner under, like right next to the 5 in downtown Seattle that I don't usually see other people panhandling on. I'm thinking like I might want to muscle in on that quick.